Were there ever occasions that boys were taken from the premises, taken from the school, to do work in town?
There's a possibility that some of the upper rank boys might have had that privilege.
When you say privilege, why do you call that a privilege?
Well, they always enjoyed getting off the campus, going to a doctor's farm and riding horses, or to the caverns out here where Mr. Smith would check out boys to go out there. They enjoyed getting off campus, you know. And
when you say, did I understand you correctly? You said they would go to the doctor's farms?
in Weewa history, there was a doctor that would come out and check out some of the boys that were eligible to go off campus.
And when they were eligible to go off campus, this doctor's farm, this was a private individual? This doctor that you're talking about?
I didn't know him, but I had seen him on campus. But he had I guess a practice in Bluntstown maybe, or out there somewhere like that, I don't know.
And he would permit boys from the school to come to his property, to his farm? Is that sort of a field trip to the farm?
Something like that.
And who would be permitted to go on that kind of trip?
Those who were eligible in rank.
And which ranks would be eligible for that kind of trip?
Well, if they were pioneers and were doing an excellent job, you know, behaving, you know, they were eligible. Pilots and ace ranks.
And when they would go on a trip like this, who would take them? Who would accompany them? Anybody from the school?
No.
They would go alone?
Doctor.
The doctor. So they would go unsupervised to the farm, other than the doctor.
The doctor would pick them up there at the campus.
Yeah. And what type of group, what size group are we talking about that would take these trips?
Well, there were 3 or 4 maybe.
You mentioned something else. You said they could go to the caverns. What do you mean by that? I'm not from this area.
I don't know, a few miles out here on the north of here. See where we are. The 3 Sea boys did a lot of work to develop that cavern just what it is today.
I'm sorry, I didn't understand you this time. The 3 who?
3 Cs. You remember that conservation something, I can't remember those 3 C's for, but can't ask that question. But
is this some state group or a private?
It's state operated.
So they had some caverns that they developed, and the boys could take trips there?
Yes, well, this is a lime pit Mr. Smith owned, that he'd take them out there, you know, and then sometimes people would take them to the caverns and take them through the caverns and let them see what it was like.
Again, that's a field trip type of activity. Yeah. Were boys ever taken into town to perform work in town?
I don't remember that. If they did, they were probably paid for it.
What makes you say that?
Well, I wouldn't think that the superintendent would permit boys to go to somebody's house and do work for nothing.
What makes you think the boys would be paid for the work? What makes you think the boys would be paid for the work rather than the school?
Any individual that would check out boys to go to the house to do work, it'd be stupid not to give them something, you know, money or gifts or something.
When you say any individual that would check out boys to go to their house, was that done, that people could check boys out similar to they could on field trips and take boys to their house or their business to do some work?
I don't know anything about that. I mean, that would have to be okayed, you know, by the director or the superintendent.
Well, when you were cottage father or later when you were a supervisor, were there ever boys that were unaccounted for that you were told were in town or at somebody's house doing work?
No.
The Frank Murphy story. Other than, you mentioned Frank Murphy had killed a young boy. Was that,
Yeah.
was that the right name, Frank Murphy?
Yeah.
Did you ever learn why it was that he killed the boy?
I don't know of anything other than what I've heard. I mean, something to do with the kid saying that he was going to report him smoking. But I think it was something else.
What do you think it was?
I think it was a sex play of some kind that Frank was trying to take advantage of a younger boy.
Do you remember Frank Murphy?
Yes, sir.
Was that a type of activity that you knew he had engaged in before?
No.
What makes you think that that was involved in this instance?
Well, that's my feelings, that that's what took place because of other boys trying to do the same thing to these kids who were the feminine type.
When you say other boys trying to do the same thing, that if there were effeminate boys, there were other boys at the school who would try to take advantage of them sexually? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
With what frequency did that take place? How often did that happen?
Can't tell you that, but every once in a while, not that often, but it did happen.
And when it did happen and the administration, those in charge, found out about it, what were the consequences to
I
something?
don't remember.
Did you ever catch anybody in that kind of activity?
Do what?
Did you ever catch anybody performing that kind of activity?
No.
Did you ever punish anybody for that kind of activity?
I don't remember that way back. I'm sure, that many boys, from time to time, it would happen.
But you can't give us any specifics of that happening, any specific instances that you're aware of?
No.
Are you aware of any type of sexual abuse by the faculty, by the administration, by those in charge with the boys?
No, I don't.
Never even heard of any of that?
No. We had men to come there that worked a short while, and left, but I don't know, they just wasn't cut out for that kind of work or whatever.
When you say they came in for a short while and left, you mean that there was a suspicion that they may have been doing inappropriate
I don't
activity?
think that I think what they did, found out that was not their cup of tea to work with boys, not, getting into trouble from time to time, and they didn't have the control like they'd like to have in the cottage. When I say control, you remember going to school and you had some school teachers who had control and some didn't. This is what happened at school. We had some who needed help from time to time. And,
Well, my question initially was, were you aware of any of the faculty, any of the people involved in the administration of the school that were involved in any sexual abuse with the children? And your response was, some people came for a short time and then left.
yeah, so I don't know if what their reason for them leaving or anything like that, but this is a thing that I think will happen in any school where there's a person who kind of looks for young boys, and young girls maybe. But as far as knowing that they did anything out of the ordinary, I don't know that.